Alright, so shooting on a different camera now because I realized this one has a video mode and iPhone cameras stink. So what we're looking at here right next to the door is the aftermath. I had to pull the AC unit out of my Prowler, and this, my friends, is a marvel of redneck engineering. The amount of silicone it took to hold these 3 pieces of plywood in here to hold this AC unit in here is mind-boggling. You can tell that's just a little bit left over. And this one's still glued to it, so that's going to be awesome to take off. But as you can see here, I have removed all the plywood and 3 gallons of silicone, and I made a pretty pleasant discovery because I was about to build a window for this, and I thought I was gonna have to frame it in, you know, jam and all. But what I realized is, besides having the bent up drip edge, which I can, you know, ply out, I actually have hardware here that's going to allow me to just attach my cedar frame directly to this thing, and I'm going to drill out these rivets and get rid of this frame down here. So essentially what you're going to have, this one works a little smoother, so I'll show you over on this side. What you're going to have is just this bracket here, sans this bracket. This is from here up is going to be, or rather from here down is going to be gone. All that's going to be here is this one going up and down with the window that I've built screwed in, coming out like this, and I'll have a sill put down here and put in some new weather stripping along here. I may have to build out a little bit of a jam here just to be able to carry my weather stripping all the way up and down. It depends. I'll have to engineer that, see how that goes. So doing some reverse engineering here. It's gonna be fun. The fun doesn't end there. What I've done here on the inside, it's been a little while since I've done the video, so gonna take a second to update you here. I pulled the Duotherm heater out of here, and as you can tell, I have a ton of extra room back there, and there's the vent that was on the back end of the heater. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to build a drip pan on the bottom of here to go under the AC unit, and I'm going to just slide the AC unit into here, and I already have some trim that matches this, so just trim it around the edge and it'll match. It'll be safe, you know, from leaking and creating rot, because on the back end of the drip pan I'm going to drill a hole and run a hose through the bottom of the trailer, and I'll just stick some screen on the bottom of that hole so we don't have to worry about any mice or frogs or critters. And it's really weird, in Florida, tree frogs like to climb through that hole. We're not in Florida now, but I sure visit there a lot. So that's the update. Kind of a before, if you will, even though the inside of this thing has been fully remodeled. This is my last step before we're actually going to take it camping. Alright, that's it for now. I'll show you when it's done. Alright, quick update here. I've got everything gutted around the window, and boy oh boy, the Good Idea Fairy really influenced the making of this window. I've already spent about 3 hours on just taking the AC unit out, and it is like a game of Tetris the way they put this thing in there and fill in the gaps they have. This is probably the smallest chunk of silicone I've had to carve out. The rest of it's all down below. You can see there's like a gallon of silicone right there on one giant blob. So that's awesome, and thank you to whoever did that. Anyways, we got a bunch of rot underneath here, which I kind of expected, to be honest, but I'm super happy because this, from here up, I've beat it to death. You can tell over here, and this side solid, the top is solid, and from here up is solid. So what I need to do is pull this, and because I've tested it back there as well, and it's solid below, so it's literally like it kind of just, you know, water damage here and rotted out. So I'm gonna repair, you know, put a 2x2 in there as well in here, and that's the update. I just felt like I should share because this is not a very big project that's turning into a mammoth just because of how these chimpanzees or whoever they hired to put this in. I don't know, man. I think trained chimps could probably do better. But yeah, they beat the whole window frame up here. You can tell, like, it used to be, you know, a straight flange there, and they cut it in the middle and bent it down, which is going to be a royal pain to get trim up to. So I think I'm just going to have to cover that with a sill, a wooden sill, all the way that just butts up to the window. And up top here, it's just hopeless. I don't even know if I can fully capture that. It's exactly like this, where the flange has just been bent up. Yeah, I think that kind of shows it right there. You see, it's been bent up, and it's just goobered all, like, this is after me removing most of the caulk, and you can tell some of there's like 3 different types of caulk they use. This stuff right here still is not set up, so some kind of like polyurethane caulk. Same with this stuff here. That's pretty awesome to get off as well. So thank you to whoever put this in. They obviously figured it would not be coming out for an eternity, if by no other means than being held in place by the caulk. So here we go. I'll let you know when it's finished. Well, ladies and gents, here's the window. You can tell I'm starting to install the cross pieces here. Built it myself. As you can tell, the springs aren't quite strong enough to hold it up at the halfway open, or the halfway open position, but I have a hardware kit that's going to hold it open so we can pass food through from the kitchen. I would have just bought a window to go in here, but as you can see, I had a bunch of pieces of plexiglass hanging around from a different bird feeder project that I was working on that actually didn't work for, or maybe it was a picture for, anyway, it was a different project and they worked for this instead, so saved me having to buy a window. And on the inside here, you'll notice the AC unit. It looks ugly, but I was actually able to just trim the top of a piece of plywood that it was redneck rigged to. It's still held to that thing by about 3 gallons of foam insulation and silicone, so I figured why fight it. And you don't see it, there's about 2.5 inches of plywood slid behind this 1/4 inch here, because like I said, the height was right on the plywood. I was able to just trim it a little bit for the top there, but the side I just cut it a little shorter and it slid right behind there. I put a 2x4 on the back side of there just so it could fit snug into there. And I still got to build the metal drip pan, but other than that, she's ready to go. I was really surprised at how easy that went. This looks good from the inside. Just gonna slide right open. I'm gonna put a little I got a brass latch to go on the bottom here. This thing, you remember this thing all covered in garbage? It took me about 30 minutes of sanding with a disc sander to get this thing nice and clean, but it has a really nice like brushed aluminum look now, except for these 2 gouges. So pretty fun times. Alright, here it is, almost 100% finished. This is the finished product on the window. I have to put the drains in the sink. I had cleaned this out earlier today. So here's the finished window. You can see the stain on the outside there. So I stained the outside kind of like a gunstock red-ish almost. I was going for kind of the vintage woody theme, like the vintage woody cars, just as a contrast to the painted exterior on this thing, because I figure it looks better than having this ugly thing hanging out the window. Anyways, you can see how much better this looks down here than that old Duotherm heater, and the trim worked out really nice too. I actually think it looks better than the manufacturer's trim of the off-color oak they have there. It's the only off-color oak in this place, but I guess they had to do it around the old fridge they had in here. So there's not much left in the way of original appliances in here, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing unless you're one of those collectors who just has to have the originals. But in the case of me inheriting this camper, not really inheriting, I did buy it from somebody and I had no idea its history. I just think it's safer if I go without. So that's kind of the finished product, kind of a look there. The aftermarket lighting I've done here. So this is the final look. And since I might actually be selling this soon, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and give a run through of what I have left to do, just the tiny details. This backsplash here, I was waiting until the very last to paint it because I wasn't sure I was going to keep it or not. But it has a good seal down here, and I'm sure if anyone's watched my remodel videos up to this point, you'll know that behind here it was all dry rotted from a leak from about here to here. Now I framed that in, but this right here is glued to the countertop, and so what I did is I made sure that the framing is good from here down by testing inside the cabinet there, and we're good. So it's kind of like you don't want to open it up as long as you have good firm wood to screw into, which I did. So I'm not going to open that back up. We have good studs on both sides, and of course framing around the window. So we're leaving the backsplash, long story short. So I have to paint this, and got a little overeager when I was having to beat some of the Gook and Pucky, all that caulk and silicone that they left on there. So I just have to patch that up with some drywall mud and some caulk, of course. So I'll get that painted up, and then if I get a buyer who wants it, I'm going to go ahead and put wood flooring down for them, because I found some really cheap at Lowe's that would match the oak paneling. It's of course a lighter color, so it would also have a really good contrast. But as of right now, I mean, I think I could probably do that for about $300 for someone if they really wanted to buy it. But as of right now, this floor is the original, and it's not pretty, but it's functional. So I mean, everything I've done so far, all the paint and everything, is definitely beautified it up a lot. I think some people may even want to leave the flooring. The water works, drains work, the septic tanks work, the toilet flushes. Yep, see, flushes. Doesn't stink in here. I haven't emptied the tank in about a week. I've used the toilet a couple times just because I've been working out here, you know. It saves me from having to walk all 50 feet back to the house, you know. The shower does work, although if you're any taller than about 5'3", it's gonna be a little tight. So that's why I have all my paint and leftover lumber scraps in there for now, so that I could get all this cleaned up in here. So that's kind of a brief overview. I am going to paint the outside of the trailer just because I owned a painting and remodeling company for years and years, and that's one of my ticks. I refinished the roof so that there would be no leaks to spoil this beautiful ceiling. I wired in all those lights. Of course, you'll know that if you watch the videos up to this point. And the last detail will be, of course, painting the exterior so that the screws that I installed, the new screws, will be finished. And I'll post one more video about how that was actually kind of the root of all the issues up until now. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I have to reinstall the range hood. The range hood in here only works if you're plugged into the vehicle, which I think is bogus, because I don't want to have to plug into my vehicle just to use the stove and the range hood. But that's the way it is. And again, unless I get a buyer who wants this, I'm not going to invest in that, since I'm actually only selling this trailer. I actually love this trailer, but I'm only selling it because it's a bit too big to pull with my van, and I was kind of counting on that until I get a truck. I need a bigger vehicle to tow it with. So I'm guessing I'm just going to sell this trailer and buy a bigger vehicle, and then I'll buy a different trailer, and who am I kidding? I think we all know that it'll be another project, and then I'll tow it with my bigger truck. So it'll be great. I'll update you if I get anything else.